Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports JEDI Network channel. May the sports be with you. Because I am the hero the Sports JEDI deserves, but not the one it needs right now. Long live Lexus King.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Heel of the Ring reaction video here. We are live here. We're reacting to the WWE Night of Champions 2025. It's in the books alongside my partner, Chris. Chris, a long day for us, but let's get it.
Let's get it. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good pay-per-view. A lot of people talk about with the Saudi pay-per-views that back in the day that they just felt like another quote-unquote house show, that it didn't mean much or you didn't like it. I thought this show delivered on paper and on screen. I thought the main event was good as well. So we'll get into a little bit of that here for you guys. Because I know you guys are seeing us for the third time today.
Third time, third stream. I mean, my God, maybe a fourth one with the UFC. I don't know. Who knows? I might be that nuts. You never know. But let's go right into it. In a really good card. There's some questions. Was it a perfect card? No. We're going to give you our reactions, our blunt thoughts, our opinions. I know there's going to be a lot of people to disagree with us, but that's the fun part of being a wrestling fan now in 2025. We could agree to disagree and hear different points of views and takes on what people saw and interpreted with their own set of eyes. Let's start off with the opening contest, the King of the Ring finals between Cody Rhodes and none other than the Viper Randy Orton, in a match where you saw these two former legacy components, master and student, back and forth they went. Some good match. They started off with some technical wrestling into some really good close matchup. One thing is that I said on the match, where when it comes to the crossroads, it's kind of feels like that should be now a setup move, a transition move, because it doesn't feel like a finisher. Where too many people, I'm noticing for a lot of wrestling fans, a lot of wrestlers kicking out of the crossroads. He's got to hit like 6 of them in order to finish and put away Randy Orton. He did not use that to finish him. Cody Rhodes, where Randy Orton looked like he was wrestling in his mind between a babyface and a heel. Or is that the question of the story of the match that I got? Is he willing to go what he learned to do whatever it takes to win the King of the Ring? Remember last year he came runner-up. This year he was trying to take the turnbuckle off. First he brought in a chair and he was going to use the chair. Referee, of course, Charles Robinson, said, "You're better than this. No, that's not the way you win it." Then as Charles Robinson was removing the chair from ringside, he dislodged the turnbuckle, exposing it to his own demise. Chris, your thoughts on that, as we know that that demise and Cody Rhodes hits an odd finish there. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, it was an odd finish there. I thought the match overall started off pretty good. It's just between the kicking out of the crossroads and the RKOs, a lot of Cody's matches feel like that, and it's starting to get a little old and repetitive. But with the Randy turning heel, I think it's coming. I've been saying this for a little bit now. That was probably one of the last times we'll see Randy Orton as a babyface, because like you said, he's runner-up 2 years in a row. He's lost this match 2 years in a row, and it's going to haunt him, especially with this, because we all expected this match sometime down the road. We didn't expect it was going to be in the finals in the tournament. So I think this is the way to keep extending that for these guys to have another match, because there's so much history. And again, their freaking segment got cut on Friday night, so there's still so much to be told. It's really not even close to the beginning. And I think Randy Orton, ultimately to do that, has to turn heel, because I don't think we're going to get a heel babyface, despite what he said at Fanatics Fest, for a while. It's not going to be until 2026. So they could do this right now. If Cena loses the title to Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam down the road, they can play that again. Or they can play it again soon before. We'll see. But I ultimately think that's where it's heading down the line for Randy Orton. He's going to turn heel, and then he's going to get into something with Cody Rhodes. Maybe we'll see not Kevin Owens, but like Kevin Owens maybe in a vignette or something where he's there not wrestling, but like, yo, I told you. We told you. Like, come on, like, whatever. So I think there's something going on with that, though. But I liked how that started the show. You got the crowd going up good. You got the overall pace of the show went well with that starting the match. So it was a good opening. just the finish was really weird, and the kicking out of the finishers are annoying.
Yeah, he got hit with in the armpit area, rib. Michael Cole said in the rib area, got hit in the rib area into a finish. We didn't expect that. With all the false finishes and all the kickouts and all the finishers, I thought there were going to be one more kick out, or at least something there where I think, he was going to use the buckle to the head for a momentary knockout, but they went with that finish. It caught, maybe because it caught us by surprise. It was like, maybe we undersold it or didn't expect it. And we kind of was like, at the moment, I didn't like it. I would be honest with you, but if they're telling a story, you could get your wind knocked out of you by getting hit in the ribs in running the turnbuckle. Now thinking about it, that's why sometimes cooler heads prevail watching it and analyzing the story. How does it make sense to a finish? Well, he probably got his wind knocked out of him, and Randy Orton could say there, tease where you said turning into that heel from the light now into the darkness because he lost again a King of the Ring. He lost to John Cena. So now Randy Orton is going to be questioning himself. Does he still have it at his age, at his advanced age? When, of course, they try to sell the back injury where, the superplex from Cody Rhodes, where and the back injury hampered a little bit of Randy Orton. But I still thought those two gentlemen did put on a good opening contest, which was very, very, very entertaining. The finish, at the moment, at the time, I didn't like it. Now cooler heads prevail, where you speak about it, and when you say, damn, you could get your wind knocked out in your ribs, on your sides, okay, I could make, you know what, in a real, if you want to take it to kayfabe or real, reality, yes, you could get knocked off getting hit in the sides. Cody Rhodes advance. He is your new King of the Ring. He has now a stake on the Undisputed World title because he's a SmackDown brand wrestler. Although with WWE, don't hold your breath. They could go a different direction if they want to.
Yes.
Whatever the case is. So I wouldn't know. Let's wait until it's officially said on the microphone on who he planned to use his number one contendership of the King of the Ring opportunities at SummerSlam. So we'll wait on that on there. Let's move on to the next match here. It's an Arabian street fight, which I thought these ladies, the women between Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley, was a really good match. I got to give WWE a lot of credit. They have two women fighting a street fight with all the weapons and all that in Saudi, and the ladies delivered. The match was hard hitting with Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez. To me, I feel like they finally booked Raquel Rodriguez, the big alpha woman that she is in the division. I understand when she came out in the beginning, her entrance, not a lot of pop from the Saudi Arabia crowd, which they were hot, but for Raquel, unfortunately, wasn't there for her. But throughout the course of the match, Rhea Ripley's over internationally. You heard her in Riyadh was so loud, so tantalizing. It was great to hear that. When the bell rang, I thought the ladies brought it from so many different spots. Back and forth, hard hitting. The kendo stick spot was great. Raquel tying Rhea into the ropes, just peppering her with the kendo stick. Some monster clotheslines. At the end, we saw none other than Roxanne Perez interject herself into this match. Not much of a force, Chris. Your thoughts on Roxanne?
I thought Roxanne Perez made sense trying to come to the aid of Raquel in a street fight where there's no rules. That makes sense. But no, this match was good. Nothing too much there going on. Liv Morgan's out. This is, like I said, ultimately going to set up something to where, Raquel essentially is like, oh, you helped me. Now they're going to become, she has both the tag team titles. So essentially she'll give one to Liv or Roxanne. And then when Liv comes back, she'll get jealous. She'll play jealous friend. They'll have that whole thing going on. But no, this didn't really mean much, for what it was. It was just to have a good match, street fight between those two. Made sense. A lot of shenanigans between those two on Monday Night Raw the last couple of weeks. So I liked it. I thought that table spot at that end we both thought that table was going to fall down. But overall, no, it was solid. It was solid.
The match was solid. Again, a second ending in a row that at the moment we question. You brought out a table. By the way, no sponsors on the table. No Slim Jim sponsor whatsoever on the table. It was a clean, good old-fashioned table. That told me that they send that weeks in advance before the Slim Jim sponsorship on the tables. What they did was they send those, they have that already at Saudi Arabia. Because remember, they have to send it by boat. That has to go through customs. That has to sit at a dock. They have to go through all the different inspection, even with the rings and all that stuff. So they didn't have enough time to send a Slim Jim. Not that the Saudi government said no American brand or American companies advertise. I think it's because that's already been there before they went that direction with the sponsorships and stuff, all in all. But I wish they would have had, I don't think it would have hurt Rhea Ripley to lose this match. I would have liked Raquel to win the match with the help of Roxanne Perez, because especially if you're going to tease Roxanne taking the place of Liv, which I've said many times, and I know it's going to sound redundant or I'm repeating myself. I think the one that's going to break Liv Morgan's heart, it's going to be Raquel Rodriguez, not Dominic Mysterio, because I think she's going to take everything. She's going to lose her best friend, a tag team partner, and it's going to end over to Roxanne, and won't be surprised if it's Liv to loses Dominic to Raquel Rodriguez. Just saying, just hear me out. Maybe something along those lines. But I think the match was really good. I would have liked Rhea Ripley to taken the pin. It would have helped Raquel Rodriguez still elevate, because she's still one half of the tag team champions. Where the numbers game, where maybe, and I know nobody wants to see Rhea Ripley in a tag team title scenario going for a tag team title, but with Evolution coming up, with Liv Morgan's plans not being there, Nikki Bella, Rhea Ripley in a tag match against Raquel and Roxanne Perez might have made sense, where they could pin Nikki Bella, but yada yada and all that. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to build it. Let's see how that go.
I agree.
Yeah, we Heather, we just did this on the spur of the moment to review. We didn't have that plan. We were talking backstage and said, you know what, let's try something different. We rarely do a reaction review, and it's so early in the afternoon. We got a couple hours before we could call it an evening. We said, let's do a reaction post show. We rarely do. Let's see how well it does with the views. I know there's a lot of others. We don't want to step on other people's toes who do reviews and reaction. We watch along, we'll react to weekly wrestling, and but we'll try something different. If it's something where you guys back us up with, and you guys are going to tell us if we're going to continue doing reaction reviews for these PLEs. If not, we'll just continue where we are. We'll stay in our lane. We recognize and know our role, without stepping toes. But we're here to upset the apple cart. But but it's up to you guys to help us upset the apple cart, if you understand what I mean. So we get that there with that. Let's go to the third match of the card. It's a small card, so I don't know how long we're really going to be on. Probably another 20 minutes if we had Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. Now, everyone was excited to see Karrion Kross on a premium live event. Sami Zayn, the beloved fellow Muslim that came to the champion, that showed up to Riyadh. What a serenation of the crowd. Karrion Kross, the heel, but it kind of felt like Karrion didn't want to get booed for the crowd, though. Chris, what is your thoughts on the opening interpretation of the entrance?
Obviously, Sammy's gonna get over because of where he's from and all that stuff. But I thought the crowd reacted fine to Karrion as well, and he had a good pop. It's hard because Sammy's the guy, but which is weird because 3 years ago he wasn't even allowed in the country. But I thought the match was good. Again, I feel like it was one of those things to where they're gonna test Karrion Kross. How do you work on a PLE? Sami Zayn, whether I like him or not, is really, really good in the ring. So he's that good opponent to get Karrion Kross seasoned and tested. And I hope we see him again, because I liked his showing. I think he had a good showing. He looked good. He looked badass as a heel, especially. And, I like Scarlett being out there. I think that manager role in the women's side has kind of been lost. I think she's like the only one really doing it. So it was a good match. You could have argued that this shouldn't, it was a filler. You could argue that, but it was still really good. And I think Karrion Kross should hopefully be on some more programming going forward.
Let me ask this. It could have been a filler for the television audience back in the United States. But for those people in Riyadh, they wanted to see their beloved Sami Zayn. And you're giving them a feel-good moment against Karrion, who wants some television time. I think Karrion just getting that television time in a contract moment, he was more ingracious to take it. You know, TV exposure, like Heather said, he's one of those top big merch sellers with his shirt with the strings attached with him puppeteer. You like that. You wanted to see that from a Karrion Kross being there, and he did. And Karrion Kross seeing him as we say hello to James Jones joining us. Salute, James. We miss seeing you. Hope you're doing well. And we appreciate you joining us here live on the reaction. By the way, your thoughts of Night of Champions, James. We would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes.
And when getting to Karrion Kross, great that he's on TV. I love the fact that he did apply the Kross jacket. Now, here's the problem I had. And I know it says, oh, the referee police but you have to make it sense. I thought in 2025 in professional wrestling, we went away with the old Hulk Hogan 1, the 2, and the I'm gonna hook up. I thought we went away with that in professional wrestling because
I hated that shit.
We've seen whenever there was a submission hold, all you need is 1 because you got to make sure he's not suffocating or you're protecting the wrestler for one time. You have it in MMA, one little grab on a doors choke or you check it one time, you don't respond, tap for the safety. Now, I know this is scripted. I understand, ladies and gentlemen. I get it. But you can't have it one day you can straighten your hair and the other day you're going to put rollers. You got to have one or the other. Either you're going to be straight in hair or you're going to always be in a bob. You can't have either or. And I didn't like the fact that they did that there with that. And then, of course, Karrion Kross in the corner. And by the way, is no disrespect to Sami Zayn because I think he does the art of the struggle in any of the professional wrestlers really well as a babyface because you kind of, if you're cheering for him, you're going to that ride. It reminds me of the old days of Hulk Hogan and all the baby faces when they used to get their beat out of them, and you wanted them to hook up, and you wanted them to get their comeuppance, and you wanted them to, and every time you thought they were going to get over that hump, oh, here they go again, back down again. And Sami Zayn takes you on that emotional roller coaster. I appreciate it, and I give him that credit, even though it's not my cup of coffee for him as a wrestler, but we knew, and it was so predictable, and I understood where Karrion Kross kept nailing him in the corner, and I said, he's not going to no sell the clothesline into the huluber kick, and that was the finish. Pretty much called it on the spot right as it happened. Not that I'm trying to pat myself on any shoulders. I don't give a crap about patting myself on the shoulders. It's just it was a little predictable where, Sammy, come on, just give me something for a Karrion Kross who hasn't been on there. Give me a wow finish. Yeah. Like, damn. But I thought all in all, not a bad match. I'm not trying to say the ending again, third ending in the row. That was a little that we could like at the moment. It's taking my vibe or the excitement of the premium live event. Although now looking at it and reviewing it, I said the first match again. For those that are joining us a little late, I just said the match with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. You could understand when you get your wind knocked out of you and a turnbuckle in your ribs. I get it. I totally get it. And then that riptide knocking the wind out for Rhea Ripley getting Raquel. I understood it and they used the table as a plank for the riptide. I get it. I understand. So before we start saying all the negativity, oh, this was terrible, that finish and all that yada yada stuff, all that stuff that comes with the IWC hating and disliking everything that happens in the wrestling ring. Could have been a little more cleaner, a little more exciting on that finish for Karrion Kross versus Sami Zayn. We could agree to disagree, but it is what it is. It happened. Karrion Kross got television time. That's the man. At the end of the day, that's what we wanted. We wanted to see Karrion Kross on a premium live event, and for not being on TV, I think he delivered, Chris.
Absolutely. And like I said, I hope we see more of him. He's getting the pops on main event. People want Karrion again. This was his test, and he delivered. Hopefully, he passed it.
I think he did. In my book, in my eyes, I want to see more.
He did too.
I honestly, and then laughing at the moment, he was laughing at some of the trying to push Sami Zayn over that edge without being Bray Wyatt. We saw Bray Wyatt used to do that in some of his matches, laughing on, but he didn't did it in his Karrion Kross way, not copy and pasting a Bray, but doing it in the Karrion Kross, the devil for the devil you don't know. I like that from him. I hope they allow him to spread his wing and for that narrative that was said that he doesn't like to take bumps. Look at that match. But for you folks that says he doesn't want to take bumps, whatever the case is, I don't know where that agenda came from, where that stereotype or false report came from. Well, the proof is there. Action speaks louder than words. Karrion Kross might have silenced a lot of doubters tonight on Riyadh. Let's go into a shocker, except for this guy here who kind of called it. The United States World Championship match between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. I know Heather wanted to see some hard-hitting action. I thought these guys, other than street fight brawl, because it wasn't a brawl match. It was a wrestling match. They did some moonsaults. They did some kicks. I thought the match was really good. Could it use a little level higher of physicality? Heather, you're probably correct on that. A little bit of physicality, but I thought the match delivered with the graps. Chris, your thoughts on the match before we get into the shenanigans?
The match was good. I thought the match was good. It was what it was. It was their style. Jacob kind of doing the high flying moonsaults, Solo with the super kicks, the spikes. The match was good, but I have nothing really to say about the match, more the outcome. Which
your thoughts on the outcome, which we see.
The outcome. Look, they're gonna keep extending this bloodline story a little bit longer. Obviously, with there's so many of the members, and I don't think Solo's gonna be completely by himself for a while. So they're gonna keep adding people. I think it's okay because Solo gets his first singles championship, and you don't bury Jacob at all, actually, with him losing. And I think next Jacob might team with Jimmy. I think Jimmy might come to the aid and be like, yo, you need somebody. You might not trust me. I get it, but we're family, this and that. Jimmy might come to the aid. Maybe they get a rematch at SummerSlam. I think that's where they should have had the match to begin with. But this is a good way to get Jacob a SummerSlam moment like he had his WrestleMania. So this was good. I think the outcome was, I didn't mind the outcome, especially that, you debut somebody, you have Jacob lose dirty, and this sets an automatic rematch. So it was logic bloodline booking.
Okay,
here's my the member, and then they do it again. It was good. I liked it.
Here's my thought, and it has nothing to do with the current wrestling state right now. Solo Sikoa has been through the Performance Center. Solo Sikoa has done the things the way the WWE wanted for any of the wrestlers, going to the Performance Center, becoming a street champion. They interjected him as Roman Reigns' enforcer. They brought him up. I thought they brought him up a little bit too soon. I guess they did. They wanted to wait for Jacob Fatu to
should have had that North American title run.
That's true, and also the world title run. I think we missed out Braun Breaker versus Solo Sikoa in NXT, but my point with it was they brought him up a little too soon. Jacob Fatu, because of legal issues, they got it cleared up. Now joined the WWE, where everyone was afraid that Jacob was going to overshadow Solo run when he came in, rightfully so. But also, it didn't do them any service. They fed Solo Sikoa to Cody Rhodes last year in his title run when he beat Roman. And instead of putting Solo Sikoa over from Cody Rhodes or making a star, he kind of buried Solo a little bit, where everyone thinks he's a joke. And this person here, me, never thought that Solo was ever a joke. I saw him as a street champ. The way he wrestled in NXT, the way he gravitated and grabbed people's NXT 2.0, I knew there was a lot of potential. I know there was a lot of potential. Don't get me wrong. Jacob Fatu is much more right now over and much more of a draw than Solo Sikoa. I agree. Don't get me wrong. I agree. I like the fact that they protected Jacob Fatu, where the introduction of Tangaloa, and not only Tangaloa, you think, oh, that's it. Tangaloa, the Botch King is back. But no, they introduced a Hikuleo. Hikuleo was brought in, and boy, did they beef him up. This guy has been, I believe, with the company 9 to almost a year in. I can see why they had him on a program for bulking, building, and boy, did he look like a menacing giant. When Solo Sikoa won and put Jacob Fatu through the table, the announce table, brought him in. Solo Sikoa, typical, it was a 4-on-1 because JC Mateo also interjected himself, where Solo Sikoa gets the victory. And when you see him on the ramp with his group, with all those 4 members, makes you wonder. There's going to be very episodic storytelling here. You got months to build for War Games, where it's going to be a true bloodline group, where it's going to be either the Tongans, where if Tonga gets healthy, but you got 4 members there, and if Jimmy Uso, Jay doesn't have the world title either. Solo Sikoa is leading one group. We could see Roman Reigns, the Usos, Jacob Fatu, and maybe Sami Zayn likes to be like white rice, interfering in everything. That could be a way to go. That's small. That's long-term booking, long-term build here for SummerSlam. Wouldn't mind seeing Solo Sikoa going back against Jacob Fatu, where Jacob gets the title back. There's nothing wrong with the back and forth, a little series there, and within the family. We'll see how that goes, how it plays out on television. But the way they protected Jacob for winning that United States title, classic. It doesn't hurt none of the wrestlers. It doesn't hurt Jacob Fatu's steam. Anything, he's going to get more furious to want to go after all 4 guys by himself, where Jimmy Uso will be more of a wise person and say, you need help, brother. You need help, fam. And now you could then, and it'll make sense how Jimmy is going to align himself with now Jacob. And of course, Jay is going to follow because they're going to need help. Solo's a thorn inside. They made it make sense, Chris.
Yep, they did. Again, like I brought out, they're gonna do it again at SummerSlam. Like you said, they have months to build. They can even do it until War Games. And I think Jacob wins back, and maybe we see some more shenanigans, another debut, cough cough Zilla. So
that
we'll
could be
see.
another one. And Heather said they took their time. They took their freaking time with Hikuleo. He was fine as he was. They just wanted another big guy. But let me tell you what, if he comes out this big, goofy, lengthy, flimsy guy, they're gonna be calling him, look at this guy, look at this clown. Now, the way he came out, he looked menacing. I'm not gonna lie. The way he looked at his height and how big he was built, he looked menacing, dude. There's still a aura or a when you see a behemoth. And when you see a gladiator type of Hikuleo, you're like, damn, I ain't somebody I want to mess with. And WWE has a great job. They know how to present the big guys in a big deal. And I think they presented him so big deal. He did. Yeah, he looked like a killer. That's what you want to present on a newcomer who's going to interfere on a Jacob Fatu. Imagine if that skinny, scrawny Hikuleo comes out last year to do what he did to Jacob Fatu, where Jacob Fatu is no selling Canadian destroyers, no selling headbutts, no selling finishers, RKOs, and then he gets done taken care of by a skinny Hikuleo. This way, the way Hikuleo took him out made sense by his appearance. That's just my opinion. That's just my thought. Because if the Flaco, this guy, really? I mean, come on. That's how you book a big man and debut a big man, in my opinion. I loved it. Yeah, Jacob. Yeah, he made Jacob look small. Absolutely. That's what the WWE wanted, to make him look small. Because if he would have came out scrawny, you're like, ugh. Look, they already Tongaloa forever will be known as a botch king because of his entrance. Remember, you only get a first impression once. And if Hikuleo, that was his first impression, you're gonna be like, holy crap. The way Jacob debuted his first impression, look where he's at now. What do we think of Jacob Fatu because of his first impression? What are we going to think of Hikuleo of his first impression that we saw this afternoon at Night of Champions? So I'm excited for the bloodline. It needed a jolt. It needed some injection of life to it, and it needed it. Now we're interested. Now we can't wait for Friday Night SmackDown because we want to know what's next. What's next with their family member? What's next there with them? There's no wise man no more. So we know that Rollins is stuck with and with the Paul Heyman elsewhere. Could they circle that? Maybe next year or down the line. For now, we have family versus family issue. Who is a wiser family member? There's a high chief and there's a tribal chief. We don't know. That's a way of circling back to those men because right now the bloodline family has a little bit of turmoil with members coming in and interjecting. So that story's that's an open book now. New chapter, open book. Now it's up to creative and writing to tell us a compelling story when it comes to the bloodline in another form. You could still have this story with the high chief and the tribal chief still in it, but these are chess players. These are pawns or rooks. If you play chess, with bishops and all that, there. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to be open-minded. Now entertain me with the storyline. That's just me. And when I got out of this Night of Champions, Chris. We'll move on. Let's go to the Queen of the Ring finals. Asuka versus Jade Cargill, where presentation-wise, the ladies look phenomenal. Presentation-wise was great. Asuka with the face paint looked so awesome. You know, the Kana roll, you know, the Kana from her independent scene run down with the makeup. Loved how she always looks great. Her presentation. Jade Cargill looks like $1 million coming down the aisle. You know, looked like Storm. Looks the wig that she had, the contact lenses, the white frost, the look, excellent. The match wasn't bad. I thought this was one of Jade Cargill's best matchup. Kudos to, you know, it takes two to tango on your dance partner. I thought Asuka and her did have good chemistry. They've been in the ring before in a tag match. They had good chemistry. The finish, I think Jade was a little overexcited to get for the pin, where she overdid it. IWC is going crazy on X about it. Jade Cargill's best match. Your thoughts on the whole match? The right outcome for you?
Yeah, I guess you don't really need Asuka to win the King of the Ring or the Queen of the Ring tournament for her to go against Io at SummerSlam. I think that match is already kind of set up on the table. Just the logic, right? Former Damage Control. They kind of teased it last week. I know Io said if she won, she didn't, but I still think they're gonna get to that match because again, Jade Cargill's SmackDown. She'll fight Tiffany. So I think it was the right outcome. You know, Jade Cargill still has so much potential, but she still needs to be seasoned a little bit. And I think the road to SummerSlam is going to help her for the biggest match of her career. Coming into SummerSlam for the title, I don't think she'll win it, but I think she'll have a good match. She's tall, she's big. Tiffany has a little bit of a different style, but she's also kind of that size as well, so strong. So yeah, good outcome. I like it. I think they both looked great, and yeah, I agree. Probably Jade's best match in WWE main roster. Yeah.
And I know Heather would like to see Asuka have a Grand Slam under her belt. I think a lot of folks there, especially with Asuka's winding down in her career, although I still think she's got about 10 years left. But you never know when, you know, Mika Samamura I thought she had more time in her career too, but she called it quits, you know, and Asuka, I'm not saying she's older, but she's probably in her prime, but still there's time. There's still, you know, time is ticking on Asuka's career, coming back from an injury. We'll love, you know, yes. Could she be one of those ladies to headline night one of the SummerSlam card or a co-main event with Io Sky? I think so. You know, do we want to see it as a wrestling fan? I'll ask you guys that. Me personally, as a wrestling enthusiast, a wrestling fan watching Asuka versus Io, I would love to see that. Personally, I would love to see that.
Dude, great Japanese talent. They both have the same. Of course, I don't even need to explain why I wouldn't love to see that match. The names sell itself. That'd be a really good match. I hope the build's okay, but
what's up, Mets? So he got 4 out of 6. Right, not bad. Not bad. Love that. Good job there on the calls there. The good call on that on the prediction card there. I would love that. I think we all would love that. And be honest with you, doesn't really need them to win a story of a King of Queen of the Ring for Asuka versus Io, which they teased it earlier. You know, for if Jade would have called her shot or not won the Queen of the Ring, it was hard for her to say she wants a shot at Tiffany because like now you didn't win anything. What makes you think you can, you know? So I understand that also with what you call it with Naomi with the Money in the Bank briefcase running around and Bianca still returning soon from her finger injury, hopefully get back soon, and all the different things. There's a lot of story to be told with those 3 ladies and Tiffany Stratton and even Nia Jax, believe it or not, with the association with Naomi, you know, costing her. So there's a lot of interesting story with a lot of tentacles when it comes to the SmackDown brand, when it comes to Jade and others. Let's go. And let's get right into this. First read, before I ask you guys, didn't watch it. I'm at the Christian Media Center for the Pigeon Fest or Pigeon Forge. Yep, there are a lot in the mix. Yeah, there are a lot in the mix there. All right, let's go to the main event. In the main event time, By the way, good co-main event with the ladies. I'm happy they've made them co-main event. We go right into it. Undisputed World Champion, maybe for the last time ever, CM Punk versus John Cena, where everyone thought CM Punk was going to get booed out of the arena, but CM Punk, to a lot of cheers, Chris, Punk won the crowd over with that promo on SmackDown. Your thoughts on first and foremost?
I thought the crowd reactions were good. The match was good itself. I thought the match started out pretty, slow. The only thing about this match, again, I talk a little bit about the Randy and Cody match, where it's like,
Yes.
a lot of the, attitude adjustments to sleep or go to sleeps, and then a lot of reversals, a lot of the finisher swapping going on, but it was really good. The crowd was into it the entire time. I think this is really the match that everybody on the night over there at least looked like they were obviously hot all night, but they really wanted to see this one. I think they delivered. I think John Cena again did a good job being the heel. It made sense for when Seth Rollins and them came out for kind of. I know we talked about, are they kind of like helping each other? Because it kind of makes sense. They're both in the match. They both don't want the outside bullshit playing into their match. So that made sense there. I'm not surprised. I was hoping, but I'm not surprised Seth Rollins didn't attempt to cash in. Um, I guess it made sense with Penta going out there because he has the feud with Braun, Sami with Bronson. So it was okay. It was a really good main event. I'm like that part was okay. I didn't understand why the outside part came in with Penta and all, but whatever. But the match itself was really good. Outcome was good too because again, Seth Rollins hits the current stop to CM Punk and Cena ultimately pins him. So they're going to keep milking the storyline between Punk and Seth, rightfully so. Who doesn't want to keep seeing those two go at it? And this gets them more heat if they want to do more stuff down the road, which does make sense because they're all, after championships, after Cena's title. Now that, we know it's going to be Cody and Cena, you got to wait to see what Cena says or does next. If we're going to have a in-between filler or truth, again, something between those lines before we get there. But I thought this main event really was good. Again, I liked Seth Rollins, being a part of it because it was like, well, like with the refs out, like it was, we wouldn't be surprised at this point, especially with the recent booking. So decisions to the night, at least we were thinking about in the moment. So yes, this was a good main event. I liked it. I'm curious to see now what Seth really is gonna do with that Money in the Bank briefcase. Um, Maybe he is saving it for SummerSlam, but this was really good. This was a good match. Crowd loved it. Good reactions overall. And yeah, you're right. Punk really won the crowd over last night with that Punkonomics.
He won the crowd over. And what does we talked about, at least me watching wrestling for over 40 years, is about making moments. WWE created moments from that crowd where John Cena and CM Punk just on a collar elbow tie up, and a side headlock, that place erupted. The fireflies, the jumping of the crowd, the excitement of the arena. It felt like Wade Barrett said it on the broadcast. It felt like a soccer championship finals, or football. It felt like it felt so special, like a UFC or a world heavyweight title fight back in the early 80s. Hearn Hagler, if you remember, if you're a boxing enthusiast, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, it felt like a Thriller Manila with the crowd. I'm not talking about, the buildup. It's Punk and Cena. They gave them 18 minutes of professional wrestling graps, like the kids like to call. They wrestled. They did all different types, back and forth. There was no convoluted, nothing soft, nothing botchy. Punk bought it. Cena bought it, for those notion that he can't wrestle, put on a better match. Look, this match was 10 times better than Cody Rhodes and John Cena. 10 times better.
100%.
And
I think the Randy, excuse me, I think
that was a
Randy
good
and
match
Cena
too.
was better than Cody and yeah.
That was a good match. Even Truth and Cena.
Best match of 2025 for Cena was this one.
And I keep saying it over and over again. WWE wants to make they want to make Cody Rhodes the baby face after John Cena. They're protecting him way too much, and it's hurting the product. because John Cena could not cook him on the microphone because people
Yeah.
will turn on him.
Yep.
And you see what he's doing to Punk. You saw what he did to a little bit with Randy, John, and also Truth. But they kind of went training wheels when it came to Cody Rhodes. This is why I don't want to see Cody Rhodes and John Cena at SummerSlam.
Yep.
Because if they're going to have these training wheels nonsense, it's going to hurt the product.
Like it did their first build to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me if they couldn't have a proper build to their biggest flagship show, why can't? Or what makes you think they're gonna do it to their second flagship show, essentially?
Because John Cena is going to cook him.
I still think the War Rumble's ahead of SummerSlam. So
I think John Cena on the microphone will cook him with Truth.
Absolutely
destroy him, and then people are going to see Cody.
That's why he spent most of the time bullshitting the crowd when he first came back. Yeah.
When he first came back, it was about attacking the crowd and felt like a hurt ex, and instead of attacking his opponent. That's why I don't want it. I really personally, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to see John Cena and Cody Rhodes. I want to see it for Survivor Series. Be honest with you, because towards his end, Cody Rhodes, yes. Does Cody Rhodes deserve the Undisputed World title? Yes, but not right now. That's the problem with you wrestling fans. You gotta want to put it in. You want to rush it in. No, take your time. Take your time. Grease it up. Yep. Put a little Vaseline before you stick it in, man. Don't rush it when it comes to like you did to Roman Reigns. Yeah, it's true. That's why I feel. That's what it feels like with the wrestling fans, man. Not to be raw or
no. It's what it is, bro. It's true. It's because like I feel like a lot of I ultimately think it just comes down to people are upset it's not being booked to what they wanted to be booked. The way
and again, I've said
the way they envisioned it.
I said it doesn't have to be booked for me to make me happy.
It doesn't
have to be
booked.
I won't enjoy it.
Me neither. Me too. You know how many things we sit here and why are they doing that? Doesn't mean I'm not gonna turn that light off and get rid of it and stop watching it. No.
Exactly.
It's just it is what it is. We like it, we don't what it is. But I think that's the problem with the IW. I'm talking about the IWC as a whole. Because I hate it.
I hate it. Worst ever. The worst ever. This is, oh my God, this is the worst ever. No, look, I didn't like the fact that Cody beat Roman Reigns 1,316 days, but they did it already. Yep. Did it, and I said, you know what? I wish they would have broke the record.
And there's a lot of people still stuck on. I'm not talking about I'm still stuck on that match even happening. Yes, I'm not that match should have been Rock and Roman. But a lot of people are still upset that Cody won that match at 40. I'm like, come on, we knew that was gonna happen. What made you not prepared for that?
I mean, I'm still bothered with it, but I understand the business wise. They made a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that's still now being brought up in discussions. Mm-hmm. I'm like, we're past because you see in the IWC when they argue with people. I see that. I'm like, yo, that happened a year ago. I understand.
Financially,
I'm not over it either. But that's not you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, financially it did really great, but storyline wise, it hurt it. It hurt his Solo Sikoa's trajectory. It hurt it. If you want to break that down, and that's a podcast for another day, it hurt it the business in so many ripple effects. That's all I got to say with that. But all in all, when you talked about the John Cena back to the match with Punk, great match here. When Rollins comes out with his group, we were waiting for it. We knew that was going to happen. We were only a matter of time. I'm glad they gave it close to almost 20 minutes, 18 minutes of wrestling before it happened. And love the fact that all members of Paul Heyman Alliance came out. And then it made sense for Penta to come out for Sami Zayn because they weren't even in the odds for Punk. They didn't all the way get down to the ring. They met at the ramp and they took care of business in the ramp. They weren't part of it. I like the outcome of the finish. Referee has the bump. Rollins gets thrown out. Rollins hits the curb stomp, but Punk gets hit with the briefcase to protect CM Punk, where he has gripe to even want to get a rematch with John Cena in a cage or in a stipulation match with no one around and keeping everyone else out, and or having a stipulation match with I want to wrestle you for that briefcase from taking it away from Seth Rollins if he doesn't cash it in on the champions by the time we get to Pittsburgh Monday Night Raw. Never know what could happen with the WWE, what direction they want to go, whatever the case is. Where Punk has to stipulation match. I don't know. Just bear with me. We don't know what's going to happen. I like the way they made that finish. Here's one thing that I got out of this whole card, this whole weekend. The WWE was not afraid with all the stuff that was happening around the world to take almost 90% of their talent over to Riyadh. We saw from the Humberto, the Gazas going there, all the tag teams on SmackDown, B-Fab. We saw Penta. We saw Sami, of course, was in the card. Roxanne Perez. We saw a lot of talent that wasn't booked for even in the card for either nights. They still bought them over. Braun, Brunson Reed, that Wise Man, all flew. They knew, again, we knew that they were not going to be in imminent danger. My concern was for the family members of the performers, of the talent, and for the WWE being over there. They're going to be worried for the next, they're still going to be worried for the next 48 hours until they touch down, maybe tomorrow in United States soil. So they're still going to be a little, family members are still going to have their butterflies. But I want to say this: kudos to all those men and women that we tend to forget before we criticize and say how much we didn't like this, and this, and that. They went over to perform in a hostile part of the country, part of the world that's a little unease, and they went and they delivered the show. I got to give WWE, the wrestling performers, production, everyone from creative, 1,000 thank yous. Unappreciative thank yous for going out there and perform for all of us, for all us ungrateful fans that always wants to say we hated it or this was terrible. This was
cabrón de Nueva York ahora diciendo que no me gusta esto.
And you're gonna have, like you said, and I'm gonna you know what, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it. JD from New York is right now on the live stream killing it, saying how much it sucked, how much this was terrible, this disgusting. But he don't remember that these men and women put the comfort of their families and their loved ones aside to go perform for the people in Saudi. And you know what? At least from the Heal the Ring podcast, we appreciate those talents.
Yep.
The referees, the producers, everyone in the WWE, and all the performers that went out there to perform for us. So I don't want to sound like an ungrateful wrestling fan. I want to sound like an appreciative. Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
I want to sound like an appreciative wrestling fan, and that's going to be my mission statement here for this card at Night of Champions, because they could have said I don't want to go, and they went and they said they put aside their differences or their personal family well-being, and they went out to do it. So kudos WWE, kudos to all those performers, to every man and women that went out there. So thank you so much. It was for that card. You like it or don't like it, dislike it, story-wise, who won? It's more than about win and losses. It's about the entertainment. And for the love of the art of professional wrestling, and these men and women did that. So, Chris, I have nothing else to say.
I got nothing else to say. Thank you guys in the chat. You guys were here with us from 10 in the morning till the stream and the playback till now. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. This was a great conversation. Like Kev said, we don't really do this much, but it's fresh on our minds, and we were going to talk about it backstage anyway, so might as well go click live and come talk with us. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys soon. We got a busy July coming up. Very busy coming up. So
we'll let you know about that. And then, of course, Monday Night Raw. We'll be on for Monday Night Raw for the watch along, 6 o'clock start of 5:45. I think we're around that time. Check it out on the playback. Tuesday, we got at right now, nothing scheduled yet, but we're looking at an interview. Then Wednesday, another one. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. May the sports be with you. Remember, don't let life pin you. Always kick out. Always get yourself over. And may God bless you all. Have a good one.